shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello, YouTubers out there. This is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, doing sort of an off-the-cuff video today. So we're talking about The Watchers. This film came out about 4 months ago, and I've heard of it. I didn't even realize who the director was at first, so everything was a surprise to me, but reading the description about a story that was set in a forest intrigued me, because any horror tale or fantasy tale told in a forest, or even a drama about a forest, always intrigues me. I don't know what it is. I love those type of stories. That doesn't mean they always make for good movies or great ones, but sometimes they do. And I was intrigued. So there you have it. Okay, so this is the directorial debut of Ashana Night Shyamalan. This is, of course, M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. And it's based on a book by A.M. Stein, which I'm kind of curious to read, because the story is intriguing. So the premise is, we have Dakota Fanning. She works at a pet store, and she is delivering a golden parrot in a birdcage to another zoo in Belfast. And it's a long trip, apparently. So she gets stuck in the woods. And as she's driving along, suddenly her car just stops. The Wi-Fi stops. Anything electronic, clearly, that's out in this particular part of the woods stops. Nothing works. So she steps out of the vehicle with the birdcage, and then she starts screaming out in the woods. She says, "Help me." At first I said, who the hell are you talking to? I mean, you're in the middle of the woods. Does she not know anytime you're in the middle of the woods, there's nobody around, unless you happen to find a log cabin around or something? First of all, there are a whole bunch of birds that come out of nowhere, crows, and she ducks. And you see that a lot in the film. In fact, that's the opening sequence of the picture that involves some character, we don't know who he is, who hears some creatures, sees some crows, it's nighttime, and then sees something he doesn't understand what it is. He says, that's impossible, and then is dragged out of the woods. So we know there's some danger there already. A silver-haired woman is seen in the distance. And she says, wait. And he says, come here. And she starts running, and you see a door. And what looks like some sort of a bunker. Come here, come here, come here. At first I thought, you know what? No, I don't know who the hell you are. Why am I going to come to you? But, there's nobody else. And her car also just disappears, which I thought was a little strange at first. She can't find her car. So anyway, she heads into this bunker. It's called the coop. And there's a silver-haired woman and a guy and another girl. They're all inside of this place. And she says, face the mirror. It's a two-way mirror. Face the mirror. And if the creatures, they're coming out at night, they're going to see you. And they'll know that you're in here and you're looking at them. And that's that. So apparently these creatures are shape-shifting fairies. And they want to learn about what it is to be human. They want to learn from humans. And that's really it. They come out at night. There's some sort of a deep hole in the forest. It goes all the way underground into all these different tunnels, presumably. And one of the rules is you don't go out at night. You stay in the bunker. You can go out during the day, but at night you stay in the bunker and you lock the door. That's really important, because I guess these fairies like locked doors. So, and you have to face this two-way mirror. But I guess there are a bunch of rules that you're supposed to know, and I was unclear on some of them. They didn't really register. It's not like the 3 rules about the gremlins. Remember that? I mean, we always know what they were. That was pretty easy and easy to understand. Here, it wasn't clear. I mean, shorten the rules. There were just too many. But anyway, she goes into that hole, which she's not supposed to. She's lowered down by this guy into the hole. She finds a bicycle. She decides to take the bicycle before the creatures come out. But again, it's during the day, so they can't really come out and do anything. Takes the bicycle. That's a problem because the last thing, these fairies, they need the bicycle so they can roam around at night, I guess. I mean, they run around about as fast as the creatures from A Quiet Place. And they are very reminiscent of those creatures. Although you never really see them up close, but you can tell how big they are, their elongated arms and their fingers. It's just really quite a sight to see, I have to say. There's one scene in particular where they all seem to stand up in unison at night, looking at this two-way mirror. So, the fairies are very upset that the bicycle is gone, so she has to return the bicycle. And then they have this idea, which again wasn't clear to me because nothing electronic seems to be working in this place. But they find this camcorder, and then they set it up because the TV works. There's a TV inside. It's a giant room inside this bunker called the coop. I have to add that point. So there are no bathroom facilities or anything. I guess they go outside. There's a table, and they eat crow most of the time. I mean, and there's always this British reality show on in the TV. So nothing works except what's inside the coop, which is interesting. They have a video camcorder set up, and they're able to sort of see what one of these creatures looks like, but it's nighttime, night vision, so you can't really tell for sure. Now, I have to say the premise is well set up. I liked the ideas. Some of it just seemed a little tough to swallow. I mean, why stay inside this coop, okay? And why can't they venture out and, find their way out of there? Well, the truth is, it's not unlike Blair Witch Project in the sense that, if you remember in that film, when the three hikers are out in the woods, when they start to venture out and try to go back, they end up back where they started. So it's that kind of thing. That's sort of a horror movie trope. It happens a lot. In fact, there's a funny scene like that in Freddy's Dead, where a van seems to keep circling around the same area. They never seem to be able to get out of Springwood, that kind of thing. But at a certain point, and there's a little spoiler here, the woman, she is convinced that she can get out of there, Dakota Fanning, and tells Madeline, that's the silver-haired woman, that they can venture out and leave, that there's got to be a way to get out. But they keep having the same problem. Also, there's a little plot hole of the car. I don't know whatever happened to her car, that it just disappears, unless the creatures got a hold of it and put it inside their where they live underground. I don't know. Very strange. So eventually they find a path. They leave early in the morning, and they somehow do make it. But Madeline, the silver-haired woman, says earlier in the film, there is no way out. You're trying to get out, but there is no way out. But there is a way out. And the creatures have to stay in the island, or in this forest, rather. So there's no way out for them. They can't go into the water. They can't leave. But the humans sure as hell can. And then there are a couple of twists that develop beyond that, which I will not give away. But John Lynch, by the way, plays a professor, because apparently in the coop, in this bunker, there's a hatch underneath, which they managed to discover. These people have been in there for months, but they didn't know anything about what's underground. And apparently there's a bunch of video monitors. The professor had been living there and recorded his daily activities, and some of that is interesting, but it seems a little drawn out for me. It should have been tighter, the story. Could have been a lot tighter. The fact that they're fairies is interesting. It has sort of that Celtic mythology to it. The film was shot in Ireland, so you could certainly feel that. There's there is that feeling, that smell of the pasture and everything else. You kind of feel it and sense it and smell it when you're watching the picture. It's a very well done film. She is an able director. I will say that. She certainly knows how to make this type of movie. Probably learned a lot of it from her father. And she made it very clear that it was about nepotism. I mean, because otherwise she would not have been able to make it. So, so okay, fine. You got the name. Hey, use it. The film seems to borrow a lot, though, from other types of pictures, like A Quiet Place, like Blair Witch Project, like even The Evil Dead. I mean, a lot of it has that idea. But I like the idea. A central little location, even though the rules don't seem to make a whole lot of sense. And So you see you have a feeling of that atmosphere, which is really very well generated. And the creatures are never really shown up close or in bright daylight, of course, because they can't be. And when you do see them shape shifting into humans, it's not half as interesting as seeing their hands and the way they run around and the sounds that they make. But the twist that develops towards the end just felt a little underwhelming. I don't want to give too much away, but it just fell short, I think, of really delivering a knockout punch, I thought. Dakota Fanning, I like her a lot. The problem, I think, is that she, in the last few films that I've seen her in, she seems very closed off emotionally. She's not really there. She registers such a coldness, like especially in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or even in her appearance in the Twilight movies. I didn't really, there's no humor there. There's nothing there. There's no nuance. Now, she is playing a character who is going through an emotional restraint because of the issues that she faced when she was a child, this idea of not following the rules, the death of her mother in a car accident, etc. But she is just too closed off. I don't want her to be one of those actresses, or actors in general, doesn't matter, male or female, who's just always closed off. I sense there's more there, and I wish a director would see that and bring out the nuances. It could still be very nuanced and still have a sliver of humor. I mean, come on. Are you going to tell me that, you're still making a horror movie. You want to sort of empathize and sympathize with her. You feel empathy, but not a whole lot of sympathy. It just feels too closed off. She's at an emotional distance. And again, that's the character, but it could have been played off a little bit better. The other characters seem to have some sense of humor about things. The guy likes to dance, Madeline, well, she is who she is, but she occasionally has a little smile, a little sneaky smile she throws in there. And then there's another girl who, exhibits some sort of a personality. You care more about her than you do about Dakota Fanning. So, an underwhelming horror film, but not a bad one. I will say Shana does a good job of maintaining a consistency in tone and atmosphere. She obviously works with a very good cinematographer to make that happen. A lot of it's just amazing to look at. It's really quite extraordinary. But the story just felt a little underwhelming to me. So, I don't know. But I have a feeling that she can and will exceed what her own father has been able to do. And the reason I say that is because I sense that she knows how to communicate with actors. She's just starting out, but it's going to grow. I think with even better stories, better scripts, she's going to mature to that level. And I want to see Dakota Fanning playing somebody a little bit less cheerless, a little more cheerful. I mean, if you remember Dakota Fanning from back in the day, from War of the Worlds, by Steven Spielberg, or Dreamer, which is a very good movie. I really recommend it, with Kurt Russell. She exhibited so much personality. There was a charm to her. And here, it's not there. I just haven't seen it in her lately. I don't know what it is. But I'll give her the benefit of the doubt because I think she is a good actress. She just needs a good director to bring out something more than just this closed-off mentality. But Ishana Shyamalan will probably end up being, I hope, someone like Sofia Coppola, who's been able to also separate her work from her father's. Not to say that Ishana can't make horror movies. Go ahead. But I have a feeling she's going to get into the dramatic field at some point. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know anything about her. We'll see what happens. But I have a feeling it's going to happen. She will make films that are really quite different from her father in the future. So we'll see what happens. So The Watchers, mild recommendation. Not a bad movie. There are better films set in the forest, but there are there's just enough intriguing ideas in this to keep your interest, I think. So it's worth seeing. Recommended with strong reservations, but definitely check it out. So tell me what you think. Have you seen The Watchers? What do you think of Dakota Fanning? What do you think of this new director, Ishana Night Shyamalan? They accuse her of nepotism, but, what about Sofia Coppola? I guess people forgot about that. But then she made a career for herself. That's, like I said, very different from her father. She is talented. This woman, I think, is talented too. Not anyone can just make a movie like this. I mean, she sustains an interest level throughout. So I will say that much. I wasn't riveted by the film, but I think she's just going to get better. But we'll see. So let me your thoughts. Tell me if you read the book by A.M. Stein. And that's about it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I do movie reviews. I talk about certain movie topics. I do all sorts of things on here, mostly cinematic related. If you are a subscriber, please hit the notification bell for future uploads. And thank you to the new subscribers I received within the last few days. So that's all I got to say about The Watchers. Check it out. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.